Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. We are the Semi-Pro. Today we will show you guys a film review project. This is our first product, so if we have some mistakes, we hope you guys will forgive us. This voice is from Anh Huy. I am from class L1, Gia Dinh Highschool. Let's jump into the video now. First, we will move into the introduction section. What is the psychological film? The psychological films are films that portray realistic characters in conflict with either themselves, other, or forces of nature. A dramatic film shows us human beings at their best, their worst, and everything in between. For example, in the film Joker, their best or their normal is Arthur Fleck, their worst is Joker, and everything in between those two personalities. Each them differently has a dramatic storyline. Dramatic films are probably the largest film genre because they include a broad spectrum of films. For example, courtroom drama, romantic, epic, biographical, crime, and finally, melodrama. These are just some of the other genres that have developed from the dramatic genre. And today we will talk about the most classic movies, named The Shawshank Redemption. The Shawshank Redemption is a US psychological film released on September 22, 1994, written and directed by Frank Darabont, based on the novels written by Stephen King. The novels named Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. Pressure and time will make the walls become easily pierced by a tiny hammer, but to people who born to firmly stand, time only makes them become mightier day by day. At first, let me introduce for you some characters who will go through our film with us. First, we have Alice Boyle Redding. Secondly, we have Andy Dufresne. Box Diamond, the leader of the Sister. Warden Norton, the director of the prison. Otherwise, you can call him the manager of the prison. It's up to you. Brooks Hadland, the librarian of the prison. And finally, we have Tommy Williams, the young guy. We will come into the storyline section. But before we analyze the storyline of The Shawshank Redemption, we should find out that how many sections are there in the storyline. The storyline has 5 sections. The first section we call introduction or exposition. Next, rising action. The climax. The falling action, and finally, the resolution. First, the introduction. The movie was set in 1947 when Andy Dufresne, a young banker, is convicted of the murder of his wife, Linda, and her lover. Later, he is sent to the Shawshank prison for life. There, he strikes up with a friendship with his fellow inmate. His name is Red, a man who knows to get everything. Shawshank is a cruel and unforgiving environment with violent and merciless guards. As you can see, the guards are beating a prisoner mercilessly, and frequent instances of sexual assault. You can see this character's line. It is so terrible, right? Next, the rising action. While in the prison, Andy helps the guards and Norton to avoid taxation as a former banker. He helps Norton launder money by a fake bank account for many years. In 1964, Red and Andy welcome a new inmate, Tommy Williams. The climax. Andy helps Tommy learn to read and get a diploma, and it eventually comes to light that Tommy knows the person who actually killed Andy's wife and her lover. Seeing a way to freedom, Andy informs Norton of the evidence, hoping for a second trial. But Norton needs to protect his investment and has Tommy killed, and Andy put in solitary confinement for 2 months. When Andy finally gets out of confinement, he tells Red about his dreams of freedom, to live in Zihuatanejo, a Mexican coastal town, and asks Red that if he ever gets out of Shawshank, he must go to a place in Boston to retrieve a package buried under an oak tree, where Andy proposes marriage to his wife. The next day, Andy escapes from the prison through a hole he has been digging with a rock hammer for 20 years. He poses as the fake person named Randall Stephens, in whose name all of Norton's money has been deposited, takes the money, and flees to Mexico. The following action. After 40 years in prison, Red finally makes parole and visits the place in Boston that Andy told him about. He digs up a box full of money and a letter from Andy telling him to come to Zihuatanejo. Finally, the resolution. Red and Andy finally reunite in Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Such a good story, right? This is so marvelous.
After enjoying the films, we realized that the best scenes in this movie, in our opinion, is the scene where Andy plays music in Norton's office. He locks himself in Norton's rooms and turns on the music, sharing the song with every inmate in Shawshank prisons. In order to relieve stress, kill the boredom of long prison term, and most importantly to nurture the idea of always wanting to be free and clean, Andy can listen to music alone. But no, for Andy, freedom and happiness are two things that everyone wants, especially for the Shawshank prisoners. He takes the risk to play music for all the prisoners to listen to, and indirectly imbue the idea of freedom and independence for all the prisoners, making them more and more motivated, improve themselves, and cultivate the dream of freedom to be dismissed one day. I have no idea what these two Italian women sing about today. The truth is, I don't want to know. Some of the best things are unanswered. I want to think they are singing about something so beautiful that it cannot be described in words and make your heart ache for it. Every last man at Shawshank felt free that day. So, there are some lessons that we gain from the Shawshank Redemption. First, don't ever lose hope. For over 4 decades living in the prison, Red became exhausted. The only reason that makes him survive in that black jail is the hope. Andy too. He always kept optimism when thrown into the cell in spite of his innocence, even when cruelly tortured by the cruel prisoner, Warden Norton, and the gang named the Sister. But hope still brightly shines in him. Hope is the endless motivation for Andy to escape from the prison with just a hammer. Oh my god. The unthinkable that Almost prisoners believe that it takes 600 years to do. How can? While Andy takes less than 20 years. How? Hope also helps Andy to find a real friend named Red in the prison where the integrity and the respect do not seem to exist. Andy reminds Red in the letter, hope is the good thing, sometimes it's the best, and the good thing will never go away. It was not until you stop hoping for the great thing that life will end. Remember.
Lesson number 2. You get busy living or get busy dying. When people who have been desperately imprisoned in a place are so desperate for too long, people can hardly think of the good life outside the bars. However, some people dare to stand up and fight for their faith. Brooks Hadland, an elderly prisoner, served a 50-year sentence and was pardoned. Lost in the world outside the bars, Brooks found no purpose in living in the lavish town but had become accustomed to the gloom atmosphere of the prison. He freed his poor soul by hanging himself. Andy, on the other hand, never accepts the circumstances that push him into the prison. He keeps himself busy by giving meaning to life inside the re-education camp. Before the successful escape, Andy has given Red hope and faith so that a man can have freedom and a happy life.
Okay, the third one. Happiness always waits for you at the end of the road. Andy escaped by crawling through a nearly 500-meter long shield of sticking stone. I couldn't imagine. Oh my god, 500 meters, equal to the length of 5 football fields set by Red. Okay, you can see, the story is very true with our lives. Everyone must stumble when the road is not flat. When patient enough to overcome the challenges, this life will be a lot more meaningful. Moving to the next one. Number 4. Keep moving forward even things become bad. When everything becomes touch and tend to against you, let's keep calm and find a way to stabilize your spirit. Remember, try to make yourself busy with something meaningful for you and everyone around you. Andy did a lot of useful things in a long period of jail time, such as manage the library, make tax returns, and provide profitable financial plans for prison officers. Wrote letters to sponsor for the prison. Taught Tommy Williams, his friend, how to read. Life will become more and more meaningful with honesty and relentless effort, whether you are in any situation.
The last lesson is taking advantage of other people will lead you to countless problems. Warden Samuel Norton, director of Shawshank's prison, plundered the labor of prisoners into public works, profiting by reducing the cost of skilled workers and using Andy for money laundering purposes by the fake identity named Randall Stephens. After successfully escaping from the prison, Andy brought all the secretary documents pretended to be Randall Stephens and withdrew all the money he earned during the jail time. About Norton's corruption and murder, Norton had no choice and killed himself in his own office, said by Red. I like to think the last thing that went through his head, other than that bullet, was to wonder how the hell Andy Dufresne ever got the best of it. So, we will come into the film nominations and awards. First, in 1994, The film received 7 nominations: the Best Film, Best Actor for Morgan Freeman, the Best Adapted Screenplay. If you don't know, what does adapted screenplay mean? It means a script made for film or TV that itself is based on a previous work which may be written, acted, or even filmed before. Example like the It horror series released in 2017 is based on a novel named It, written by Stephen King. The second example is film Macbeth, released at the end of last year, based on a novel with the same name, Macbeth, written by Nguyen Anh. The next nominations is Best Cinematography, Best Editing Film, Best Soundtrack, and finally, Best Sound. In 1998, Shawshank was not included in the list of 100 best film by the American Film Institute, but 9 years later, in 2007, the film was ranked 72nd in the editing list, surpassing Forrest Gump 76 and Pulp Fiction 94, the two most celebrated films in the same year with Shawshank Redemption. In 1999, the film critic Roger Ebert put Shawshank on his great movies list, and in the opinion polls of the film magazine Empire, the film ranked 5th in 2004 and 1st in 2006 on the list of the greatest movies of all time. In 2002, The Shawshank Redemption was voted as the 3rd greatest film ever made in Channel 4's 100 Greatest Movies. The movie website They Shoot Pictures, Don't They? According to the statistic of the 100 highest rated films of all time, The Shawshank Redemption was ranked at 563rd, ranking lower than the 506th and 515th of 2007 and 2006. At IMDb Top 250, the film was ranked number 1, 9.3 points, the position equivalent to the title of the best film of all time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, you can hit the like button below to support us. We really appreciate every single contribution you made for us. Hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.